The WWII boot hack that stopped blisters, saved feet, and quietly became the ultimate long march survival trick. The first thing you need to know is this. Soldiers in World War II didn't survive 20-mile marches because they were superhuman. They survived because they hacked their gear like their lives depended on it. And one of their smartest, toughest, and most quietly brilliant tricks was hidden right on their boots. Stick around, because if you're into survival, prepping, or just building a body that can move through miles without crying for mercy, you're going to want this in your toolkit. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button like you're locking in your boots' midfoot tension, firm, decisive, and setting you up for the long haul. Why long marches destroyed soldiers who laced wrong. No fluff here. World War II marches were brutal. They weren't weekend hikes. They weren't organized rucks on nice gravel paths. These were forced movements across terrain that hated you, mud that swallowed boots, cobblestone that hammered tendons, blazing heat that cooked leather stiff. Soldiers carried rifles, packs, ammo, gear, and the weight of exhaustion. And the real difference between a unit that arrived battle-ready and a unit collapsing on arrival wasn't just physical conditioning. It was foot mechanics. It was how their boots worked with or against their bodies mile after mile. Uniform lacing from toe to ankle might look clean, but it was a quiet foot killer. Medics noticed the same injuries again and again. Swollen joints, torn skin, screaming nerves, arches collapsing under strain. The foot swells during long movement, up to 8% in volume, and when you cram that swelling into rigid leather, something has to give, and it's usually your skin. But soldiers who learned the tension zoning method, they moved differently. They stayed in the fight. The secret that made leather boots feel like allies instead of enemies. Tension zoning wasn't fancy. It wasn't complicated, but it was genius. Instead of tightening everything the same way, soldiers broke their boots into 3 sections, the toe box, the midfoot and the ankle, and adjusted each one differently. The toe box stayed snug, never tight, because locking the toes too aggressively crushed the bones and caused brutal downhill slamming. The midfoot was the anchor point, tightened firmly to stabilize the arch and keep the foot locked exactly where it needed to sit. Then the ankle was left slightly looser so it could flex naturally across hills, slopes, and broken terrain. That one small shift turned a rigid leather boot into a tool that moved with the foot instead of against it. No more heel slippage, no more toe ramming, no more hotspots turning into blisters halfway through a march. It was a real working biomechanics upgrade, decades before anyone said the word biomechanics. How soldiers laced for maximum endurance. The method was simple enough for exhausted soldiers to use on the fly, but powerful enough to change their entire marching experience. They laced normally up to the first hooks, just hugging the foot. Then they pulled hard through the midfoot, locking the arch in place. At the ankle, they eased the pressure, letting the boot breathe with every step. What made this trick gold wasn't just the initial setup, it was what they did 1 mile in. Every experienced soldier, especially those in recon and mountain units, stopped briefly after that first mile. Not to rest, not to reset, just to loosen the toe box and ankle zone for a few seconds. Why did mountain units become masters of this technique? Well, when you climb steep slopes, your arch actually does more work than almost any other part of your foot. And when you descend those same slopes, your ankle basically turns into the braking system. WWII mountain troops understood this, inside and out. They marched across the Alps along ridges and through rugged climbs that really put both their gear and their legs through, well, absolute hell. So they took the basic idea of tension zoning and upgraded it into something even sharper, the lock-off loop. If you're prepping for mixed terrain or planning for long movement while carrying a heavy load, this is the version that's going to honestly save your legs when your pack starts feeling like concrete. Here's the wet weather trick soldiers swore by. Anyone who's had waterlogged boots knows the misery. The leather softens, the structure loosens, the weight, well, it just about doubles. Everything gets sloppy and unstable. Most hikers make the same mistake soldiers did at first. Tightening the laces harder, trying to force stability. But that only crushes your foot even more. WWII infantry, who slogged through soaked fields, monsoon mud and humid jungles, figured out something better. When their boots were soaked and heavy, they laced the midfoot firmly so the structure stayed where it mattered, left the toe box light, and kept the ankle loose. This kept their gait efficient and protected the parts of the foot that suffered most under all that water weight. It's still, honestly, one of the smartest wet weather boot strategies ever created. Why do modern hikers still miss the lesson? If you look around today, almost everyone laces their boots like sneakers, uniform even, bottom to top, clean and symmetrical. But, sneakers are flexible synthetics built to bend. Tactical boots, leather boots, mountaineering boots, those behave exactly like World War II military footwear. Stiff, structured, demanding. They need strategy, not uniform force. That's why so many modern hikers deal with blisters, burning arches and battered toes. The boots aren't the problem. The lacing is. And the fix is the same one soldiers used 80 years ago across continents and combat zones. Tension zoning doesn't just save your feet. It extends your endurance and changes how your whole lower body handles distance. Why does this small trick still belong in every prepper's mental toolkit? Prepping isn't about gear alone. It's about knowledge. The kind of knowledge that doesn't break when your batteries die or your phone loses signal. This World War II boot hack is pure fieldcraft, elegant, reliable, and forged in real miles under real pressure. Whether you're hiking, training, rucking, or planning bug-out routes, your feet are the foundation of everything you do. Protect them and you stay mobile. Lose them and nothing else matters. Try tension zoning on your next long walk. Feel the difference for yourself. And honestly, if you use it consistently, you'll wonder how you ever tolerated uniform lacing at all. If this kind of battlefield-tested survival wisdom hits home, make sure you subscribe and share this with another viewer who needs smarter feet on the trail.